Hi friends, in this video we're gonna write a simple Spring MVC Thymeleaf CRUD application. For this I use, as usual, start Spring.io just to generate empty Spring Boot project. I select Maven, I added already group, artifact, name for my project. You can use any version of Java, starting from Java 11. It doesn't matter for our purposes. I add dependencies like web. I add Thymeleaf dependency, and I also add Lombok dependency. But if you don't know what Lombok is, just ignore this dependency. It won't affect our tutorial. Okay, I generate my project and open it with my IDE. Okay, I opened my project in IntelliJ, and what do I have here? I have a template and nothing is here, so let me start with resources. In the resources you have application properties. It's where you store all the properties for your applications, like a default port for your server or some kind of environment variable properties for your code. You have static and templates. In this static you can leave static files like CSS, JavaScript, images, and also default behavior for Spring Boot MVC is when you put index.html file in this static in the static folder under resources, you will and you won't set up any controllers, you will have this index.html as starting point to your application. Let me show you this example. Let me create new HTML file and I call it index. And let me just add hello world. And as you can see, I don't have any code for controllers or other Java classes. And if I run my application started, and if I navigate to the browser in the localhost 8080, I will see this index.html. As you can see in the logs, we also see a message adding welcome page class path resource static index.html. So Spring in this welcome page handler mapping added, this is default from the Spring, added my index.html as welcome page to my application. So let's just go to localhost 8080 and we see our hello world page. If you don't want this behavior, just don't add index.html to this static folder, and that's it. Okay, and let's get back to our Java classes. Let's create our first controller. A controller is the essentials of Spring MVC. They allow us to to map pages, display Thymeleaf pages to the client. They allow us to receive data from the client. They allow us to send data to the client. And creating controller is very simple. It's just a simple class with controller annotation. And controller is basically based on Java servlets. So let me just show you an example. It will be simpler to understand the controller. Let's create package and call it controller. Let's create our first home controller, which will serve our home page instead of this default index.html. So let me create home controller class, and I made a mistake. Let me just change it. Controller. To make this class, Java class as controller, we add annotation controller, and that's it. As you can see, IntelliJ even showed me that this is controller. And what else? We can add annotation request mapping. Request mapping is the URL which controller will serve. For example, if I want my controller to serve, for example, just /absolute path, I will just add this absolute path to the value of this request mapping. I can also add this request mapping not on the class level, but also on the method level. And let me just create method just get home page method to return my home page. And to make this method to be served as some URL method, you can add get mapping or post mapping. It depends on what HTTP method you want to serve. Let me add get mapping to my controller, and this get mapping will inherit the request mapping from the class level, but you also can define your request mapping on the method level, for example, home, something like that. And this home page, you should create it under templates folder. Of course, you can change this default templates and static behavior. You can use Spring config customization to change the location of these pages, but I don't suggest you just for the first time to change it, because it looks really simple to use default behavior from the Spring Boot MVC. Under templates, let's create our first file for our templates, and let's call it home page. Make sure you have the same naming which you return, and with the name of your page. That's how Spring will find your page in the templates folder and will return its content to the client. And let's add just some message to show for user. This is home page. And let's restart our application. As you can see, you can add some path for this in the request mapping. You can add some path in the request mapping of the method, and you can play around. As you can see, nothing has changed, but for my index. But if I navigate to the home, I see this is home page. Okay, let's proceed further. Let me remove. You know what? Let me remove this home page from the request mapping, remove this request mapping, and let me restart my application just to show you that I can override default behavior, and this index.html from the static resources won't be served anymore. Let me navigate to the slash, and you can see this is home page, so we don't see index.html anymore in our application. Okay, and let me add some more functionality just to show you how we can transfer data back and forth from the HTML to the controller. Actually, it's not actually HTML, even though we created files with HTML extension. It's Thymeleaf. Thymeleaf allows you to inject some Java code, Java params from your classes to this HTML, and this HTML is generated on their server server side. So server in the home controller just generates this home page. It takes this content from this home page, generates it, and returns back to the client. And Thymeleaf allows you to put some data into this home page, just like part of the attribute. And let me show you how it works. For this, let me create some form. Let's say we want to have some library application, just simple library application, just to serve some books, just to allow users to work with books, create book, edit book, delete book, and list books. And let's say we want to have some information about user, which user is working with books. And let me create a form. It's simple HTML form. Method is get, and action, let me add action as books. And what I want to show you, if user, for example, how can we get data from this page to our Java class, to the controller? Let's say I want to have input. It's just input of our form with name, login, and placeholder, let's say enter login, and type is text, just text field. Okay, and let's add another input, for example email with type email, and we will have submit button with this, let's say, show books, something like that. And what I want to see, I want to enter my login, I want to enter my email, and I want to click on show books, and I want to see some list of books on my controller. Okay, and let me get back to my controllers. As you can see, we have home controller, but this home controller is not a better place to put our books because it's not related to the books. Let's create a separate class and call it book controller. And as usual, we mark this class as controller. We can add annotation, a request mapping, and let's say books. This means that we want this book controller will serve starting URL as books. And let me, create get mapping with books, and let's say get book page, something like that. And what I want to return, book page, and let me create under template, let's create book page HTML file, and we will add content later. Okay, and how can we actually get this data from entered in the form to the controller? Let me, I'm not sure it will fail, but I want to show you what we will see in this form after submitting this form. Here's our home page. Here is our form, like enter login, enter email, ABC, for example. And when I click show books, as you can see, in my browser URL, I can see these params. Login is ABC and email as ABC CBD. And this is called request params. And this request params will appear every time you will submit a get action form. And as you can see, login and email is the name of my input. If you change this name, this params will change. It's like map in Java, where our login email is a key and ABC, and this value is a value. Okay, and we can use Spring RequestParam annotation in our method. RequestParam annotation have some attributes: required false or true if you require this param. If you set required false, then your method doesn't require this param as be. It means that this param can be optional, and the name is the name of your request param is login, and you have this param in the method. You can avoid this name if your name of the variable is the same. And next request param, let's say required also false, and string email. As you can see, this time I just didn't put this name, just to show you that this will work because my variable has the same name as my request param. just to show you two different approaches. Of course, this one is shorter, so it's preferred to use. Okay, and what can we do? Let me just add this login as welcome on my book page. Okay, and first of all, let me just system out just to show you that it works. Okay, and let's start our application. Okay, let's get back to our main page, enter login, and click show books. And in the console, you can see user login is my login. As you can see, everything is perfect. We received data from HTML from our client in our classes, and we can pass this data, we can transform this data, or we can save it to the database, and we can pass some data back to the client. You can use it using a model. Model is also from Spring Boot. It's an interface which is which serves your attributes transfer from your Java code to the Thymeleaf. And you can pass attribute using model add attribute, and you need to specify key and value of the attribute. And let's say I want to say user login and my login, which I received from the user. And on the book page, I need to add in the HTML markup that this is a Thymeleaf. To do this, I need to add this line of code, XMLNS Thymeleaf. And let's just add something like that. Welcome to the book page. And I can use this Thymeleaf just to show you attribute from the class on the page. I need to use attribute name to get this attribute from Java class. And user will see if he entered login, he will see welcome to the book page, user login. Let's restart and check how it works. Let's get back to our books, to our main page, and enter ABC, click show books. And as you can see, welcome to the book page ABC. Everything works perfect. Okay, and I don't like this that I can't just navigate back to the main page. I need always remove this URL from the browser. Let's add some menu for our site, for our web pages, and let's add some styling. And I already prepared some styles for you, just to save us some time. And let's get back to our home page. Okay, and let's add this before the body. Let's remove this one. And what I have a menu, just simple navigation, just to navigate us to the home and to the books. And of course, I need some styling. I can put styles in the static folder. Let's create new directory. Let's call it styles. You can call it any name you want. And let's copy some styles for our CSS. I already prepared some styles. CSS like style. And copy. This is some styling for our web application. How can we connect this style CSS to this homepage? It's very easy. In the head, as you usually connect, you can add a link. As usually, it's the same way as you usually connect your styles to the HTML. If you don't know how to do this, just follow this instruction and it will work for you also. And in the link, I put rel style sheet and the path to my styles. But make sure, please, that you ignore static in your path and don't put any slashes or dots in this path. Style CSS looks good. Let's restart and check how it works. Yeah, perfect. Works fine. And of course, we need to add this to the book page also, just to be able to see this navigation on all pages. But what I also wanted to show you is it's not very convenient every time copy paste these parts of navigation or, for example, footer from page to page. Thymeleaf allows you to create some fragments, put them to the separate files, and then use those fragments as you in the places you want. Let me show you how to do this. In the templates folder, let's create new directory and let's call it parts, for example. And let's create first part is a navigation, and let's pass our navigation to this file. And to make this part as fragment of Thymeleaf, we need to use fragment equals, and you need to add a name to this fragment. Let me call it navigation. Okay. And to connect this part on your page in the place you want, you can just use this Thymeleaf declarative. For example, inside div, you can add insert. Sorry, this is home page. I need also Thymeleaf declaration. Thymeleaf insert, and you need to specify using tilde the path to your fragment, parts, and navigation, and the name of your fragment and navigation. Maybe not the best naming for my fragment, because my file and my fragment have the same naming, but they can be different. It can be different. Just make sure you use it correct in this after two columns. Okay, and of course I want to add this same fragment to my book page, and let's make sure we connected our styles. Okay, and let's add, just to show you more example, let's create another, for example, footer, another fragment, and of course I have already prepared some pretty footer for you. I'm not really good at front end, so it's just for the simplicity, and it's just for the example. Of course, it's better to use professional front-end developer for these purposes. Okay, and let me add my footer. As you can see, I just put my footer in the place I want to see it. Of course, it's the end of the HTML file, but if you have some other parts, you can add them in any place you need them. And in the home page, let me add footer here. And let's restart our application to see the changes. And let's click, and you can see that I have footer. Yeah, the style is floating, but that's okay. It's just for the example, okay? And if I click on books, as you can see, everything works fine, and we have different pages, books pages and home pages, and everything is perfect. Okay, let's get back to our code. And what we need to display some books on our page. First of all, we need some class which will allow us to store books. Let me create package and call it model, and create, for example, class book model. And I add data annotation from Lombok, but this data annotation is just getters, setters, constructor, equals, and hash code. If you don't want to use Lombok, just use simple Java code for your construction. And let me add just 2 fields to my book. Its title and year, just for simplicity of our tutorial. Our book will have only title and year. And let me add, you know what, all args and no args constructor, just to be able to create these books. And I add some service just to be able to store my books. I add service annotation. This service annotation will allow me to mark this class book service as service class. Spring will register it in the context, and I will be able to inject my book service to my components like controller. Okay, and first of all, I need some books to display. I prepared some data, and let me copy paste it. Okay, I create a list of books. It's static, and in the static block I just add some books to this list. Okay, and let me create first method just to return these books. List book model, get all books by login. Since login is not mandatory field, it may be the example when user didn't pass login. Let's say we want to implement some logic with this login. Of course, in a real life scenario, you will have some security to log in to authorize users on your application. But in our case, we just want to, let's say we will show user a small amount of books if he is anonymous, and if he entered login, even some dummy one, we will show him all books. So let's say we want to show if login is not null, we want to return books. Okay, and if login is null, what we want to return? Let's return books which are younger than, for example, 1951. Okay. Book with year greater than 1951, something like that. So if user hasn't provided login, he will receive only this second book because it has 1960. And if he provided login, he will receive all books from this list. And let's get back to our controller. In the get book page, we need to receive our books. Let me use my book service here. I will use auto-wired through the constructor, but you can use any injection method you want, but constructor is preferable for me. Okay, and let me call book service, get all books by login. I pass my login. And what else? Here's my books. And I can use, again, I can use this ModelAttribute just to pass my books. As you can see, you can pass any object you want, not only string or integer. You can pass list of complex objects back to the client. Okay, and how can we receive these books on the front end? Let me get back to my books page. Okay, and let me add some table just to display my books. I will use table, just example of the table from this school website. As I told you, I'm not really good at front end, but for our example, that will be enough. And I have already copy-pasted styles from this website and put it to the style CSS. As you can see, here I have styles for my table. And I want to use Thymeleaf for each, just to be able to loop through the books. Let me get back to book page. Loop through the books and show user books in the table. Let me create this construction, th block, and th block is used for looping through the list. In this th block, we want to construct our table row with table data. Okay, and how can we know how many table rows? The amount of books in the list will produce one table row, and I will use th each, and I use this construction book and to get this attribute from my book controller. This is attribute name user books, user book. Let me call it user books. And I passed it to my book page. And in this book page, I can get this user books using this construction. And each user book will be in the book. It's like for each in Java. And I can use, for example, the previous example, th text and this construction to get the value for each field of the book. This is book title. Title is the name of my field in the book model. Please make sure that you call the same naming that you have in your class. It should be the same in your HTML. And of course you need year. And I guess that's it. Let's just leave this one. And of course we need to change this heading, title and year. Okay, and let's restart our application and see how it works. Here's our books. Let's restart. As you can see, it works perfect. We received only 1916 because 1960 because we didn't pass any login. Let's get back to the home and let's add the login. And you can see, as you can see, we have all these books. And as you can see, we once we reload the page, our login disappears and we see only one book again, even though we provided login previously. And let's fix it. I want to show you another feature. It's from the HTTP servlet, but maybe you missed the servlets. And let me use a session from the HTTP request just to use session to store our user login. And for this, we have HTTP servlet request. HTTP servlet request object is the same as you saw in the servlets. As you remember, we had in do-get and do-post HTTP servlet request and HTTP servlet response. And Spring, it uses, as I told you previously, it uses servlets. And in Spring we also have this object. And if you remember, we can use session by request get session. In this session, you can store any param you want. And let's say I want to check if login is not null and login is not empty. I want to set it to the session. User login and login. And I want to get this user from the session. String user login equals. And session returns me object, so we need to cast it to this string. And after that, I want to set attribute as user login. So what have I done? I just check if my login is, if user provided login, I put this login to the session. Okay. And after that, I add login from the session to this attribute user login, just use to be able, user will be able to see his welcome page as usual. Okay, but this session is more than just model attribute. Second time user reloads the page, login will disappear. But since we have it in session, this code won't work because login is null, and of course we get user from this user login from the session, and it will be present in session because user put it in the first time. And of course we need to pass this user login to the get all books by login. Okay, let's restart our application and see how it works. Let's reload. Let's get back to the home and enter ABC, click show books. Everything works fine. And as you can see, after we click restart our page, our user login is still present because it's in the session. And even though we reload our page, we migrate from the pages to pages, it's stored in the session, and we will be able to see, and we are able to see all the books, and we are able to see our login. That's how using sessions you can store some data for user or some other data you need for between your pages. As you can see, IntelliJ says me that I need to put it to the constant because I use it a lot. Okay, perfect. Something like that. Sorry. And code looks fine. Let's just add some more functionality, like create book, edit book, and delete book. And for this purpose, I need another page. Let's create it, and let me add new HTML file and call it create book page. And this create book page will contain my form. This time I show you post method and action create book. I need input for my title, and I need input for my year, and of course I need submit input. Okay, and I need to display this page. Okay, let me navigate to my controller, book controller, and I need another get method, and this time I will return my book on my create request. Okay, public string get create book page, and just return my create book. And how we return just create book page? How can we create book, get all book body from my form? We can use previous method when we used RequestParam, and we can read one param one by one and form our object. But if your object is really big and it's not very convenient to get param by param, you can consume the whole object. Let me show you how. Let me add model, and we can put empty book object in the attribute. I put new attribute, I add attribute new book, and I create new book. This new book is book model. This book model will have, of course, as I use noargs constructor, it will have title and year as null. And on my form, I'm gonna add these fields for my book model. How can I do this? On my create book page, in the create book page, in this form tag, I'm gonna use Thymeleaf object. For this, I need Thymeleaf, and I'm gonna use th object and name of my attribute new book. And that's how I pass my empty book model to my create book page, and name of my input should be the same as the name of my book, title and year. And Spring is smart enough to map this name field to this Java class book model, and that's how you will have your book model fields filled for you without usage request params one by one. Because, for example, if your class has 50 fields, it's not very convenient to get field by field 50 times. and using this th object attribute, you can fill your empty object with required fields. And since this is post method, we need method to accept our post request, and this is create book request. And since we have book at the beginning, we need to add this books create book, and public string create book. And how can we receive this filled book in my method? I use annotation ModelAttribute from the Spring MVC and book model book. And this ModelAttribute will get this object new book from my HTML, from my Thymeleaf, and I will receive this book as method input. And I need service to save my book. Let me create this method. And how can we save? Let's just add this book to the list. And in this case, I want to show you redirect. I don't want to return a specific page when I created book. I want to redirect user to the book's URL to show him books list page. So I use redirect and I specify path to the redirect. In my case, it's books. Let's restart our application and check how it works. Let me open my application. As you can see, here's my main page, home page. I show books. I don't have any button to create my book, but I have something like create. I know the URL. Okay. Create. It should work actually. Yeah, I need books create. As you can see, here's my form, ABC and 1, 2, 3, for example. And after I saved, I can see my book created in the list. Of course, I don't want to enter URL manually every time I want to create a book. So let me just add the URL to my books page. In the books page, I will add after this table a tag href books create add new book. Let's save and restart our application. And since we store our books in the memory, in the Java memory, of course, we will lost our books we created every time we reload Java application. Okay, as you can see, we have this link to the add new book. I add my new book, save, and as you can see, I receive my book. I can add as many books as I want, and they will appear in this table. And let's add another functionality to edit book. And we do the same steps as we did for create book, but with some difference. Edit book page. The only difference is that we're gonna show a form with predefined fields. When we create book, we have empty fields for title and year, but when we edit book, we need somehow to fill form with values already created for the book. Let me show you on practice it will be faster and much simpler. Okay, we need a form. And of course, this is method post, and this is action books, edit book. And I also need to use th. For this, I need Thymeleaf. Thymeleaf is very extensive library. It has a lot of features, and I show you in this tutorial only small amount of features. But as you can see, even using those small amount of features, you can do a lot. You can program whole web application on your own. And I need, in this, let's get back to our tutorial. In this th object, I need book to edit. And I will pass this book to edit from my controller. And of course, I need input, type text, name, title, and placeholder title. Actually, I don't need placeholder because fields will be present, and I can use th value and use my book to edit, title, and year. That's how I will pre-fill my fields with data. And let's get back to book controller and create another get mapping and edit something like that. And we want to we need to know which book we want to edit, and I want to show you another way how to receive values from the URL. It's PathVariable title, and let me create string get edit book page, and we gonna have model and get edit book page model and PathVariable. Okay, what about PathVariables? PathVariable, when I enter books and I add slash and, for example, ABC, this ABC is PathVariable, and we can get this PathVariable from this URL. Instead of RequestParams, as you can remember, we have URL, and when we have this sign, like question mark, and then we have RequestParams separated by ampersand. But if we have another slash and, for example, ABC, this is PathVariable. And this is another way to receive data from the URL. And using PathVariable annotation from Spring, you can get this data from the URL. And it's just another way. I could use RequestParams, but I want to show you as much ways as possible to manipulate data and pass it from the front end to the back end. And I need book service, edit. No, I need find by title, because I need some, let's assume we have title, and title is unique for every book. And when we edit book, we pass title of the book we want to edit, and then we select this book, and then we fill this form with that book, and then we can edit this book. So let me create in the book service. How can I get by title? Sorry, it should be book model. I can use Java stream. I can use stream filter, and get title equals title and filter by title. And find first. I assume that my title is unique, but of course it can it shouldn't have duplicates, but and that's why I use find first. Or else I can throw exception, for example, that book don't found, no illegal argument exception, that book wasn't found on the specified title. Okay, and let me get back to my controller. Here's my book by title, and I can put it to the model, and my attribute should be book to edit and by title, something like that. And of course I want to return my edit book page. And let me show you how it works. Of course, return, yeah, sure, I forgot to return. Still, we don't have edit functionality. I just show you how form will be predefined. Let me reload my application, and for example, I want to show you the Great Gatsby. Let me check how I can show you this. Edit, something like that. I passed edit and the Great Gatsby, and in my controller I have books, edit, and title, and my Spring application checked this title, got it from the path variable to the variable, found book by title in the book service, and returned this book, put this book to the attribute name book to edit, and we filled we used th value to fill the value of the input, and as you can see, everything is filled perfect. And if you, for example, specify another book, and if you pass it here, you will see another form. The only way, we need to somehow create button to create a URL, because it's not convenient just to put manually title to the browser. And let's do it. Let's get back to our books. That's why I didn't delete this table data. And let's use another Thymeleaf URL. Let's create a button, and let's call it edit. And my button will have, let's use a href, and I need to, I need href from Thymeleaf. Let me copy paste because it's very inconvenient to write it. And this is syntaxes for href from Thymeleaf. As you can see, we have these signs, and I need books. I need to specify my URL in this href. The only reason why I use this href is because I need to pass book title to the URL. Because as you remember, previously I created simple href and it worked. But in my case, for button, I need also book title for every book. And that's how I can use get this book title from my book, from user books, and append it to the URL. And let me restart and show you how it will work. As you can see, I have edit button, and once I click edit, the title is appended to the URL, and it works perfect. Now let me add update functionality. Let me add input, type submit, And let me get back to the controller and create post mapping. And mapping is edit book. And as previously, we can use model attribute with already populated fields. And I need book service, edit book. And this time I also want to redirect to my books. And of course I need to edit my book. And edit is kind of tricky because I can't just, I need to delete first and then add new object to this books. But I also can't just delete by title because user can change the title. Okay, and what can I do in this case? I can do next. I can do next trick. It's not very good. I can use something like that. Okay, and I can just use books, delete book model after I found by title. And this is not very good because my method not only searches book by title but also delete it from the books. But for my purpose it will work. And when I want to edit book, I just use save, because after I found by title, let me rename it by find by title and delete. Okay, after I found by title, I will remove my book from my list, and then when I edit my book, I just edit a new book to this list. That's it. And let me get back and let's restart our application and see how it works. Let's restart our page. Let's enter our login, show books. Here's my books, and I want, for example, edit this first book, ABC, and as you can see, here is my edited book, The Great Gatsby, ABC. Let's assume I want to edit this book year. Here's 61, and I want 1, 2, 3. Edit, and where is it? Here it is. I can add new book. Then I can edit it. And as you can see, everything works. And the last thing I want to show you is delete. Delete will be simpler. Let me create get mapping. I don't need forms to delete. I just can use PathVariable, for example, or I can use RequestParam. For example, it's whatever you want. Okay, let me use PathVariable. And sorry, I just messed up with all this method. As you can see, title in this URL, name in this URL should be the same as your variable name, and you can have as much path variables as you want. Just make sure you have different naming for them. And I need call book service delete and pass, for example, title. And I want redirect to my books. And let's create my delete. Since I already have find by title and delete, I can use this method, because you know this method will delete a book from my list. And on the book page, let's create another button. This button will delete, and instead of edit we use delete, and that's it. Let's restart our page. As you can see, we see only one book. We haven't entered login. Show books, and I can delete my books as I want. As you can see, guys, everything works fine. We have implemented in this tutorial. We have implemented create, read, update, delete operation on our books. It works perfect, and you can expand this tutorial on your model. And yeah, that's all for today. Thanks for watching this video. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and I see you in the next video. Goodbye.